Who will beat Argentina in Copa America? We're rating transfers, the US reaction, Portugal content, all in episode 163. How are you feeling, Breton?
Well, that's a loaded question today because I'm not feeling so good, as you mentioned, with the USA reaction. Not feeling good there. But as far as the world football goes and the fact that I'm going to be on a plane to Portugal very shortly, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good on that front. But yeah, as you mentioned, transfer silly season, wow. That's starting to heat up some. I think it's going to heat up even more. Copa America action. We've got the Euros back. So much content coming your way. I'm ready to get started, man. Let's dive in. Where you want to start?
The big question, who will beat Argentina in the final of Copa America? I'm already saying that because you see the pathway. It's hard if it doesn't happen. Now with Venezuela in first, topping the group as it seems with Group B. The unexpected happened, but yes. Who is the team that can beat Argentina? Or it's Uruguay, or it's Colombia, or it's Brazil. Who's your choice, Breton?
Well, I'm going to say right from the get-go, before I give you that answer, you got to give a little more respect to Ecuador here. Ecuador is in the way. Venezuela is in the way. Remember, just a nice little PSA here, public service announcement, that once we get into the next round, the knockout round, it goes straight to penalties after extra time. Okay? So that's a big deal. That is a big deal when it comes to this. And Messi is dealing with a little bit of a knock. So there's a lot of color to this whole situation that you bring up. I think Ecuador is the only one capable of beating them before they get to the final, just as a little PSA there. But beyond that, I think the best chance, the best team right now to beat Argentina in the final is going to be Colombia. 25 games unbeaten, 10 wins in a row. You've got Luis Diaz firing on all cylinders. You've got the Crystal Palace duo of Jefferson Lerma and Daniel Munoz doing great things. You've got a great center back partnership going on. I just think that they're cohesive. They're ready to go, and they're not afraid of anybody. That includes Brazil, who they'll meet on the final match day. That's my pick, man. I'm sticking with that.
So Colombia will be topping that group with Brazil. Oh my days,
that was my pick.
What a game that's gonna be! I'm hyped. I'm hyped for that game on Wednesday. Okay, Tuesday to Wednesday at 2:00 Wednesday morning here, Portugal time, people. You cannot miss it. Yeah. Oh my days! But you said it. Colombia is undefeated, 25 games. James Rodriguez. 3 assists in his last 2 games. And Luis Diaz, the star, and no doubt he can be the best player in Copa America if Colombia go bold and win it all.
Yep.
Okay, he's already a Colombian legend with what he's doing, and he's got 5 goals in his last 6 games in Copa America. Vital player for this team. But you say Colombia, I'll say Uruguay. Because Uruguay, Darwin Núñez is the player with most dribbles completed in Copa America. He scored 10 goals in his last 7 games. This man is on fire. And one thing's for sure, I hope to see with Arne Slot the form I see Darwin Núñez with Bielsa in Uruguay, okay? Because that is top. He's world class playing for Uruguay. And I think that's not an understatement, but a fact. I'm quite confident about this.
Yeah, to think in another world, in another time, that when they did this exhaustive coaching search to land on Greg Berhalter again with the USA, to think we could have potentially had a Marcelo Bielsa running berserk by sitting on his little bench while he watches the game and freaks out. But ultimately, I mean, it's an opportunity missed. Uruguay has him, and so far they are humming along. So absolutely, Colombia, Uruguay, 2 big ones. I think the main feature for Uruguay isn't just Darwin Núñez, obviously. It isn't just the fact that Marcelo Bielsa has gotten Facundo Pellistri, Nico de la Cruz, Maximiliano Araujo playing phenomenal football, playing really good together. It is, you got it. It is Manu Ugarte running the show. He's leading. He is leading
And
the
tackles.
Copa America in tackles, 1, and I don't think anyone here is surprised. And I also don't think we're surprised that Ugarte is the subject of a lot of transfer chatter, and I think that's only going to grow in volume
Facts.
as we get closer to the final here. So yeah, Uruguay, Colombia are 2 big favorites. And the funny thing is we left out one big one, right?
Who are we talking about? The U.S.?
Oh, no, gosh, no. Gosh, no. Oh, we can talk about that in a little bit. But Brazil. Costa Rica, listen, held them phenomenally well. 17 shots, I believe, to 2 shots in that first match. And Brazil did wake up some. I'm not going to lie. Against Paraguay, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't nice to see Vinny Jr. blow up, with 2 goals, 17 dribbles attempted, which I think is like the most ever maybe for a Brazilian in the Copa America. I could be wrong about that, but that's pretty dang close. It is Brazil, but also seeing Savio get his chance on that right wing. Exactly. They benched Rafinha in that second game. He got his first goal, 20 years old. The fairy tale season continues for the man that could not play for PSV last season, but can play for Girona, can get them in the Champions League, can get into a game for Brazil and score his first goal. I don't think it's going to be his last in this tournament. So
well stated.
That was fun to see.
Well stated. Yeah. And I got to dive into a lot you said. With Uruguay, my last mention, with Bielsa, Marcelo Bielsa gets the credit he deserves. And Manuel Ugarte is not having the best season in terms of club level. Facundo Pelestri, hadn't had a top season at club level for a long time. And Darwin Núñez, like I stated, is not playing top level for Liverpool. We all know there's more potential to be met. So this is a job of Bielsa clearly having a major effect on Valverde, Capitano, and we all know Valverde is going to be in that team of the tournament at the end of the day. And going with what you said with Brazil, this was the best match of Vinicius Jr. with Brazil. This is what everybody wanted to see finally happen. 2 goals scored. In his last 2 years, he scored 2 goals. So he's meeting the expectations of being the leader and the best player of the most historic nation in football, okay? It's Brazil. I got to give credit to that. And Dorival, I wasn't expecting to get this output out of Vinicius. And Hendrik came on. He didn't have the best of games, but I do think it's because, and this is an interesting thing, I think Hendrik didn't have the best of games in the last game because the game was already done. So there was no need for that Hendrik difference to be met, that goal, that assist, that extra motivation in terms of having to chase the game. So I do think he's going to grow into that, and it's good to see that Hendrik is not already the full potential player, and we can see things that he's going to improve. And for sure, at Real Madrid, he will. So
he's not Kendry Paez being the penalty kick taker for Ecuador and scoring a massive goal.
Man of the match, Kendry Paez.
Man, absolutely, and not only that, on the same weekend, right, or the same week, in the same week, Kendry Paez scores that goal for Ecuador. Moises Caicedo's man of the match. On top of that, I think Willian Esteval scored for Palmeiras. 2 of the 3 did the cold Palmer, Chelsea Selly, and I'm struggling to comprehend how this is a bad thing long term if we completely don't think about financials. They're building something.
Oh yeah.
And that's something they're all communicating through celebrations thanks to Cole Palmer. It's really interesting to watch.
Iconic.
But also I just have to ask you just kind of a flashpoint question. Do you rate Kendry Paez higher or do you rate Endrick higher?
In terms of potential, I think Hendrik has shown more towards being the megastar for Palmeiras to win the Brasileirão. But personally, the one I prefer to go watch is Kendry Paez. Yeah. The technique, the way he makes the difference. He's a modern-day 10. He's defensively very good. I think he's intelligent on the pitch in terms of positioning. And Kendrick, intelligent too to do what he does, but he's different. He's more of a physical player. He's more of an objective player, in which Kendry, I'm still in doubt towards what he's going to do. So because of that brilliance, I pick Kendrick Paez, but I think who has the most potential is Hendrick, and I think Hendrick
Still Hendrick.
goes to Real Madrid. Kendrick Paez goes to Chelsea. I haven't seen a player like Cole Palmer improve like that at Chelsea for a long, long time. Okay, maybe like Mason Mount, the last player that improved like that of a young Englishman. So,
and we do need to remember, right? Vinicius and Rodrigo, they did not take a linear, straight up development line. They needed a little Ancelotti in their life, and Hendrick's going to get at least one season of that moving forward. So I think he's going to grow immensely once he gets into that behemoth that is Real Madrid. And to be honest, it does. I mean, Kendrick Paez having this type of leadership at 17 years old, that's great. But to have the staying power for the next 13, 15, 17 years is going to be really interesting to watch. Whereas Hendrick playing for Brazil, playing for Real Madrid, hopefully he's just focusing on that step-by-step process that gets him to the tippy top of the game. Because he's already made it there from a club perspective and clearly from a national team perspective in terms of the onus that is put on his shoulders playing for Brazil and Real Madrid. Now he's going to step up. So I agree with you. Yeah, the potential with Hendrick is limitless. Kendrick Paez, I don't know where. Different positions, obviously. But Kendrick Paez right now is just electric to watch. So much fun to watch.
It's fun, good. It's good stuff. And it's interesting that it's national teams that really need the youngster to grab and to make the difference with Brazil and Ecuador in this sense. Then you see like Uruguay, you see Colombia, you see Argentina, definitely older national teams that would rely on their star players, which are a bit older. Very, very interesting. It says a lot about the future of Copa America. We're going to have a strong future with Ecuador. Always in the mix with Caicedo, Hincapié, and Pacho. This is a top generation coming through. So
it is
the answer. So you said Colombia can beat Argentina. Uruguay can beat Argentina in my end. But yes, we want to know your thoughts, people. Okay, let us know down below. Who do you believe will beat Argentina? And yes, what are your thoughts on Copa America with everything that is happening in this tournament? Will Vinicius Jr. be the best player in the competition and win the Ballon d'Or? We all want to see. I definitely want to see it when he does the calma in his first goal of Copa America. Come on. Good to see. Good to see, Breton. Well, but yes.
Yeah.
Big moments. Moments.
I can tell you who's not going to beat Argentina in the final, right? Is that a good enough transition for you, Alex? Because CONCACAF, who would have thought Canada would be one of the better CONCACAF teams at the moment?
When they don't have the best team individually in terms of quantifying with players, okay? Because if you see the list of players of Mexico, U.S., and Canada, the U.S. have the best national team in my point of view. The best player might be Alfonso Davies, though.
And if you wanted a Bielsa light, right, you could have gone for Jesse Marsch. And instead, hey, they didn't open the door for him. They wanted Greg Berhalter back for the 874th time. They wanted to what's the definition of insanity? Which is it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That's Greg Berhalter. There you go. That's Greg Berhalter. And I'm telling you right now, Jesse Marsch fosters a culture, generally does. Obviously, sometimes it blows up in his face, like at Leeds, like at RB Leipzig. But I think it's pretty good for a national team perspective. It's good to see Canada playing well. They took Argentina pretty far and played very, very well. And I think Jonathan David, I mean, you still got very, very good players. Obviously, Alfonso Davies, they need that new generation to come through. That's where you're kind of like looking at the horizon saying, I don't see it just yet. But Jesse Marsch will make them incredibly competitive. Now, on to Mexico. Before I berate USA, I have not seen a worse generation right now. Okay, let me phrase it this way. Generally, there's always one or two players on the Mexican side of things, El Tri, that scares the ever-living crap out of me, right? I can go all the way back to Cuauhtemoc Blanco, to Jared Borghetti, to Gio Dos Santos when he was on, to Hector Herrera, There are obviously to Memo Ochoa in goal, but right now, not one. Not one. And maybe the only one.
Jimenez, no?
Only one that,
Santiago Jimenez.
not for Mexico. Gosh, no. He's been horrendous. And I don't mean this in a bad way. Well, obviously I do mean it. Like, horrendous is a pretty strong word.
Yeah.
But El Tri does not know how to use Santiago Jimenez. Okay? I think Feyenoord is obviously looking to sell him off because they've already brought in a new striker from the Philadelphia Union, Julian Carranza. But you know who did know how? You know who did know how to use him was Arne Slot.
True.
Right? And Santiago Jimenez obviously is still young. And to throw him into the lion's den that is El Tri is tough, but they have nobody else right now. Stick with the guy. Stick with him. He's literally your only player right now in this lineup, in this entire 26-person squad that you brought here, that Jimmy Lozano brought, that could potentially strike fear if he gets his finishing game back on. Right? Edson Alvarez is injured. He's out for the next couple weeks. He's out for Copa America. He's the only other person I would throw in there. Okay? Now, that's Mexico, right? It is bizarre to see this, but there is not one person that I am scared of when I look at the Mexican roster. In fact, I'm more scared of Canada than I am of Mexico at the moment. And to be honest, now I have to be scared of what? Panama?
Panama. Yeah.
Panama. And you know what? Here's the thing, Alex. Okay, if anyone didn't catch the game, good you didn't catch the game because you saved 90-plus minutes of your life that you will never get back again because it was depressing to watch as a U.S. fan.
Well,
and to be honest, while Timmy Weah is 100% at fault, while the players are 100% at fault, right, this is systemic. It is top-down. It starts at the top. Greg Berhalter sets the culture. He decides to be their friend instead of their actual coach. Every one of them seems to like him. They're not speaking out against him. That's great. But have we seen marked differences in the development of these players under Greg Berhalter, first time, second time? Have we seen statement wins that are not against El Tri?
True.
Have we seen statement wins? Have we seen really solid wins like maybe beating a Uruguay on match day 3? I don't care. He needs to go.
Well, you
Greg
drew to
Berhalter
Argentina.
had. Yes, I mean, but drew to Brazil, right? But so did Costa Rica. I don't know what to tell you, right? But
that's true.
Greg Berhalter's stated goal in the first and the second session, right? His stated goal was to change the perception of American soccer or of American football around the world. Okay? The only people that are doing that are the individual players within their club setups. When has he done that? Period. With the national team.
Jesse Marsh's done more than Greg Berhalter in terms of overall respect because coaching at Red Bull Salzburg, like, that's a different level.
I know. But you tell me, Alex, has the perception changed out there because of Greg Berhalter, his setup, his tactics, his bunkering in after they went a man down, treating Panama like they were flipping Brazil? 18 minutes in, going a man down. Has he changed your perception of the U.S. national team?
My perception, no. And what I can tell you is the average European fan about football has no opinion about Greg Berhalter, but the job he's doing for the U.S. And that says it all, okay? Because of the meritocracy level that I believe should be the case to coach the U.S. men's national team. You guys are playing in home soil. Like, and when I see you guys playing in home soil against Panama and losing to Panama, if it was here in Portugal, in the Euros, it would be a rage, total rage with everyone, okay? And I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that responsibility of winning 100% in home soil in a tournament like Copa America. So it should be a bit
soft.
Exactly, too soft in my point of view. So what's enough? What's enough for Greg Berhalter to go? Honestly, because from my perspective, enough is not to go through in the group stage in Copa America playing in home soil when you have to. You have to. You see the other teams, like
100%.
You're 100% second. 100% second. And if you're first, that would silence every critic, okay? And that's what the U.S. men's national team should want when the World Cup is gonna be too in home soil. So that's mad.
It's true. I mean, what confidence is there that we're headed in the right direction with 2 years to go?
Exactly.
There is none.
Exactly.
There is none. And the only thing we can get confident about or get excited about is the stable of players that we built up. And yes, maybe they're not as good as we thought, but the potential still lies there. I agree with you. I mean, the things that Christian Pulisic has done, the things that Weston McKennie has done, all of them have done it individually. They've done it on their own. They've built families. They've set new horizons for American players going abroad. More American players are going abroad than ever before, challenging themselves. That's not Greg Berhalter.
Exactly.
It's not. He needs to go, whether or not they beat Uruguay, whether or not it's a watered down or an A+ Uruguay that we face, whether or not we beat them, he's gone, in my opinion. He needs to go. We need to take the next 6 months and figure out how to break this definition of insanity. Can't do it again. You've got Wilfried Nancy out there. You've got heck, I'd even go for another 3-4 months of BJ Callahan before he takes over Nashville to figure this out. I am not convinced that out of the whole search, Greg Berhalter was the guy to lead us forward. And this all falls, too, on Matthew Crocker, whatever his name was, that was picked to lead this. And I'm tired of the apologists. And I think that dam is cracking. I think that we are starting to see some of these quote-unquote pundits and critics in the United States are starting to look at this and say, okay, well, we got nothing.
Starting to understand the game.
I hope
that
so.
You need a change.
Negative tactics, negative viewpoint. It's tiresome.
And how is it possible
tiresome,
when you see Canada picking a manager that is completely attainable with Jesse Marsch, and then you said, like you at the start of this video, Bielsa could have gone to the U.S. national team instead of Uruguay. It's madness. It's pure madness. So whoever's making these decisions, and there are better managers out there, not in top leagues, not like I'd say in Portugal, an average manager like Vasco Seabra of Estoril, like a manager that went now to Botafogo, Artur Jorge, they would be better than Greg Berhalter, and they would be enticed to coach the U.S. when the Copa America is in home. No, Copa America is in home soil, and the World Cup is in 2 years. People want the U.S. This is it's mad because it shows the U.S. men's national team is a job that is really, really tempting, enticing for the manager that wants to make a statement in a short period of time. So yes, the U.S. job deserves more respect, and I think really there's a lot of managers that would make the difference with you guys. And yes, I'm very hopeful for the future though, Breton, because for the players you have, and the talent level under 26, let's say, list of players. You guys have a mad list, okay? So, and players that are still not playing, okay? And imagine a Kevin Sullivan in 5 years' time. That could be the best American player in the world. No, and Pulisic. Will Pulisic be the best American football player ever when he retires? That can be the case. That can be the case, especially with a World Cup in home soil, in which he can make the difference and make history. So that has to be with the right manager.
It does. It has to be with the right manager. I know that he likes Greg Berhalter, Christian Pulisic. Heck, I know he's got a girlfriend now. He's got all the right things to play for. Obviously, great first season at AC Milan. But ultimately, what he's missing is a statement win. That is not against the same old tired 2-0, El Tree win in the CONCACAF Nations League, which nobody gives a crap about for the most part. Don't get me wrong. It feels great when it happens. Yeah. But if that's what we're resting our laurels on, if that's what we see as changing the perception of football, no, you're beating a team that's already down, right? You're beating a team that is falling off the ledge of relevancy at this moment. And they also, they don't have the player pool that we have, and they couldn't do it with Tata Martino. They couldn't do it with, they're not doing it, in my opinion, with Jimmy Lozano. And over here, it's simply put, we need new ideas, not negative ideas. Okay, and you can say something, but watch what they do, not what they say. And what Berhalter's doing right now ain't encouraging. It's not.
True.
And it hurts. It hurts to watch, and it's not going to be changed tomorrow. It's not. So this exhaustive search crap that brought Berhalter back just reeks of stupidity, and there's egg on their face. And even if they lose, or I'm sorry, even if they beat Uruguay, even if Uruguay lines up with Araujo at the back, with Darwin Núñez, with everybody, and Bielsa's pacing the sideline like it's the flipping final, and we beat him 3-0, Berhalter still needs to go.
Bold statement. Bold statement. I agree with it too. But let us know, people. Do you agree with what we said about the U.S. men's national team? And who would you replace Greg Berhalter with? We would want to know your thoughts down below. And like this video for more content just like this. That was quite something, Brenton, right there. And quite something every summer. And it seems to be improving. It's the transfers, rating transfers that, boy, oh boy, it's growing. It's growing to the transfer season. And after the Euros, for sure, a lot of players will be changing their home. An example is like Mikau Tadze. Mikau Tadze, rumoredly, is going to go to Monaco, is going to go to another team like Lens. Everybody wants Mikau Tadze when he scores 14 goals for Metz. And now he's the top goal scorer in the Euros. Ooh.
Go figure. Go figure.
I would give it. Couldn't make
Yeah.
the best out of him. True. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Mikau Tadze to Monaco if it happens, because this player is an underrated player and will be present in the future of Georgia. And the present, he's mad. He's already madly present. First win of the Euros ever of the country.
I mean, yeah. I mean, 3 goals right now. And the minnows, right? First time ever. And there's just no excuse for anyone else there that's trying to shoot for that golden boot once again. Harry Kane. But it's, Mikau Tadze obviously has grasped the moment. Kvaratskhelia, there's just a grit, a determination that's coming with these guys. You could probably call it their golden generation. There are players behind them. I think Georgian football is going to be around for a little while, and I would love to see them in 20. Yeah. Oh my God, Mamarashvili already literally has the nation in the palm of his hand. He's like I wouldn't call him a god just yet, but he's some sort of half deity that has Georgian football in really good hands right now.
True.
Literally, right? And it's wonderful to see. So Mikau Tadze and Mamarashvili is on the move as well. Valencia has already brought in their replacement. It's just a matter of who's going to get him. I know Chelsea's sniffed around. I know, but I haven't seen very concrete destinations for him just yet. But who'd you say?
Chelsea should get Mamarashvili. If Mamarashvili went to Chelsea, he'd be immediately one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. He'd be one of my favorites because what I saw against Portugal was special, and against Czech Republic too. I have to give credit to the mega game he had, and he's only 23. And it's with these keepers that are leading nations type thing. Petr Cech we saw in the past. Black we see now with Slovenia. They're like built different when it happens. And it seems to happen a lot more often than we think. Okay, so Mamarashvili, a 9 out of 10. And Mikau Tadze, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Would you agree with me, Bretson?
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would. I want to see Mikau Tadze light it up. I'd even maybe give it a 9 wherever he winds up, because I'm going to be watching him. And that's just a testament to what Georgia has done.
Bold.
Defying the odds in Euro 2024, right?
And another, it's very true. Very, very true. And first Euros, first time going through two. That's mad. 100% success at this stage. And the other player that, look, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, if Manuel Ugarte is the first move, good move, because Ugarte, Kobe Maino, Bruno Fernandes, I got to say, that's an extremely good midfield. Ugarte is currently leading in tackles in Copa America, and he's a young player that he will for sure want to prove haters wrong. Let's say he's a flop because of what they see at PSG. That I don't think it was bad, but it's not the same output that we see for Uruguay. So Manu Ugarte, I'd give it a 9 out of 10 for how much it makes sense, in my opinion, for Man United to sign him. So
the intrigue, yeah, and it does seemingly check all boxes there. I guess it would just kind of come down to what would the price tag be, for me. But in terms of actual possible ability and how he fits in to seemingly what Erik ten Hag is going to be able to continue to build there, it does make sense. So I agree with a 9 out of 10. Maybe a little less so because I don't know. I don't know where else I'd like to see him, but Ugarte, as you can tell, is very special in the Bielsa type of setup. So seeing him in the Bundesliga, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. Kind of makes sense to me. But yeah, I think the Premier League is his next destination.
And if it wasn't the Bundesliga, I think only Bayern Munich would be that type of team to sign him.
Maybe Leipzig.
And maybe Leipzig, but still, I think he'd be too expensive maybe for an RB Leipzig type budget. But they're starting to spend. But talking about Manu Ugarte, Bayern Munich, the player that's going to Bayern Munich as a CDM is Rompelina, as it seems, so 40 to 45 million. The deal that supposedly was going to happen last summer. And if it would have made the whole difference, okay? They needed Rompelina desperately, Bayern Munich. And that's why, if it happens, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 Rompelina. Because if it was last year, definitely a 9 out of 10 out of my view. But this season, Rompelina, with Kimmich maybe leaving, Bayern Munich will be a weaker squad. But I think it does make sense, this move. And yes, I'd give it a 7.
I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10, simply because it's a rerun, right? We've seen this before, but we wanted to see Palhinha in a setup with Kimmich. We wanted to see it maybe early on with Min-Jae Kim, Upamecano, De Ligt before a lot of their reputations have been sullied. It's so bizarre to literally see them revamping their whole spine, right? If João Palhinha comes in, you've also got Hiroki Ito, who's come in from within the Bundesliga, kind of middle-aged defender. And then on top of that, who else? There's one other center back that's
Olise.
You've got Olise coming in too. But they had another center back that was coming in too for some reason that I'm blanking on. But yeah, they're changing a whole lot there, and I guess you kind of have to after 11 years of winning.
You did say Hiroki Ito, so he plays at center back for Stuttgart. Trying to think about who you're thinking.
I don't know why I just blanked on it, but there is another center back that is about to sign.
Jonathan Tah.
There it is.
Jonathan Tah.
Jonathan Tah. Yeah, so they've rated, obviously, those who they could not beat. And it seems like Leverkusen was putting up quite the fight, but they finally settled on an asking price. And ultimately, you've got Jonathan Tah, you've got Hiroki Ito, which who the heck knows what that means for Kim Min-jae? Who the heck knows what that means for Matthijs de Ligt? But that's quite a change after like one season for Min-Jae Kim. But ultimately, it's them saying, we don't trust these guys. We're bringing in new blood. Ito, Tah, much easier on the than saying Upamecano. You can just say Ito Tah, and you've got a center back partnership. But taken from within, so they're back to buying the best that the Bundesliga has to offer. And I think you're right. Where De Ligt goes, though,
that's another question.
Nobody knows.
The team that we would think maybe would be Man United. It worked. It's worked with Erik ten Hag in the past with Matthijs de Ligt. Who knows? Maybe it could work in the future too. If Man United start this summer and they get Manu Ugarte, Matthijs de Ligt, those are two extremely good moves, especially when we see Ruud van Nistelrooy too joining the coaching staff of Erik ten Hag. That shows that the board is backing what he can do next season. And Van Nistelrooy, or maybe Van Nistelrooy gets the job afterwards if it doesn't go too well. But Rasmus Viterhøjlund has someone to learn big time too. That was one of the best strikers in the world of football. And I want to see a bit of Ruud van Nistelrooy in Rasmus Winterhoylen. Okay, so let's wait and see if that happens. And talking about a striker went to Chelsea. Mark Guehi. I wasn't expecting Mark Guehi to leave Barca, and for 6 million. Well, I know he needed that contract extension, but the club wanted to keep him. It's a bold move. Enzo Maresca for sure must have had a good chat with Mark Guehi to convince him to go to the Blues. How are you thinking with this?
Now, I don't know what's going on with Chelsea per se. I mean, collecting Omar Kellyman, Willian Estevao, Kendry Paez obviously on the horizon. Mark, I think his name is not the same as the center back from Crystal Palace, which I think I misled you when we were starting. I thought you were talking about Mark Guehi, but yeah, Mark Gay?
Mark Gay.
I think might be the way, yeah. But the striker coming from La Masia, with plenty of talent, plenty of possibilities. I really don't know. I know that he's not incredibly dynamic in terms of he can't necessarily do a whole lot of things, but I know he's a hell of a goal scorer. Which let's be very honest,
off ball
Chelsea
he's really
needs.
good. Off ball, watching him, he's got a lot of tenacity, a lot of good movements. I think yes, with ball he's not the typical Barca player, but I really like what he does off ball and in terms of goal scoring ability. He was very important.
They need a poacher. They need a poacher for sure. They need somebody that's going to poke the. It doesn't matter how the ball gets in the net. Nico Jackson, I think, gets beat up a little too much, considering his debut season, considering how many chances he missed. But he did wind up, if I'm not mistaken, with 14 or 15 goal involvements in his first full season in the Premier League. So I'm not cutting that one short. I think he's going to be probably a monster this season if Chelsea improves behind him. But Mark Gay, on top of the fact that they're bringing in Willian Estevao, but they're going to have to wait for that. They might be bringing in 2005 born center back from Boca Juniors, Aaron Anselmo, for like 15 million plus. They are just, it's as if they're playing FIFA career mode. Or I'm sorry, that's not even in existence anymore, right? It's as if they're playing So Rare.
Football Manager,
right? Yeah, it's exhausting to keep up with all this, and then you've got players leaving, who we'll talk about in a second. But all they really need to do is, one, make sure that they don't get hit by the PSR, the profitability and sustainability rules, and two, you're collecting all these players. Now you've got to have a portfolio manager, somebody that manages your portfolio of stocks that will likely be rising in the future, because there's a clear excitement about bringing in young players at Chelsea.
Well, Maresca, I think can work out. I'm confident about Enzo Maresca. I think he's a manager that a lot of people will be surprised with how good Cole Palmer will be playing straight out of the bats. And because Enzo Maresca coached Cole Palmer at City, and Romeo Lavia too. Don't forget that Romeo Lavia is too there, and he cost a good penny. Okay, that was 50 to 60 million. So there's a lot of players that their value has to rise, like you just mentioned. True. Willian Estevão too. Willian Estevão is going to be dominating this season in Brasileirão. 2025, 2026. Chelsea fans, be ready with Kendry Paez, Willian Estevão, Cole Palmer, and maybe Champions League football if it works out with Enzo Maresca. I believe there's a possibility of that happening. Go bold, okay? It could happen. It could definitely happen.
It could. It's just a little bit tougher to see that on the horizon when you have these 17-year-olds coming in, or when you're dropping 22 million euros on Omari Kellyman, who I think is incredibly talented, but worth 22 million for 7 PL2 goals, Premier League 2 goals for Villa, doesn't make much sense. And I know there's a lot of accounting stuff that's going on and all that. What I don't want people to lose sight of is the fact that the guys that are being thrown around in this, Omari Kellyman is still a supremely talented potential player for England in the future, only 18 years old. I don't think he's going to break in for Chelsea this particular season, but I don't think that's even part of the plan necessarily. And it's the same, waiting to see a Willian Estevao on the horizon, or waiting to see a Kendry Paez at Stamford Bridge. But there is something bonding a lot of these young guys that are coming in, whether it's through the Cole Palmer celebration or just the fact that they all knew at some point they might be in a blue shirt. We got to remember, they already have Andres Santos. They already have Angelo Gabriel. They already have, I mean, there's so many players that we're not even really talking about that are already on the books that I don't know how there's flipping room to do what they're doing without others leaving. Yeah, Madueke, who I think could leave. Carney Chukwuemeka could leave. Cesare Cazadei could leave.
I think he's going on loan, Chukwuemeka. Already confirmed. I can't recall the team.
Loan Army, rebuild.
Exactly. But William Estevão and Kendry Paes, they do have a higher ceiling, okay?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people in Brazil saying that William Estevão is the best talent they've seen since Neymar in terms of pure talent. So that's some bold expectations right there. And the player that we all see that he's got the aura, he's got a lot in Euro 2024, Calafiori. Whoever gets Calafiori, well, whoever, no, I would like to see the team. If it's Juve, it's a 10 out of 10 transfer in terms of making sense, in my point of view. The only one I wanted to mention in this video, because he goes with Thiago Motta. Thiago Motta, the manager that gets Bologna first time in the Champions League since like 1960s. Oh my days, so long. And now he goes to Juve, and Ricardo Calafiori going with him makes so much sense. And Kefren Turam, oh my days, even better. Douglas Luiz, Kefren Turam, Ricardo Calafiori. 3 new signings of Juve with Thiago Motta. Don't sleep on Juve. They become my favorites, at least right now. Well, I need to see another move here and there because Inter, they have a great squad, but potential favorites to win the Scudetto next season. So,
well, I mean, if you get Vlahovic in Serie A, not Vlahovic in Euro 2024, Juve would be like co-favorites for me right now, assuming Thiago Motta can step up to the plate with a new, obviously massive responsibility on his shoulder type of situation going on. But yeah, Ricardo Calafiori, the only real thing here, I mean, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. The only thing here is like, how is it not already done? Right? How is it not already done? They got Douglas Luiz done, but they haven't gotten Ricardo Calafiori done just yet. And for those that don't know, the Douglas Luiz one is a doozy, right? You've got Enzo Barrenechea, who I think is supremely talented. I think Villa fans are going to love him. 23 years old, was in Frosinone with Matias Soulé, and was every bit as important to them last season as Soulé was, and that's saying a lot because Soulé had double-digit goals for a pretty bad team. But Barrenechea is like a defensive beast that I think Villa fans are going to enjoy. I think Unai Emery is going to enjoy. And then you got a speedster and I don't know what's going to happen on the wing type of guy with Samuel Eiling. And you got 28 million euros in the bank as well for Douglas Luiz, which is crazy to me that Villa felt the need to reinvent that wheel. Again, I don't know if there's accounting things going on, but the Douglas Luiz thing next to Calafiori, that's like a 9 out of 10 for me at Juve. Juve's doing the right things right now.
Finally, Cristiano Giantoli. Last summer, sporting director of Napoli, left to Juve. Finally, now we see smart moves made by this team, and Tiago Jaló was signed for 3 million last January. So they started from then on, and now with Thiago Motta, he's going to start cooking now. Like this team, ay. Last ones I wanted to mention, and I think Varane to Como. I want that to happen. Fabregas convinced Varane to go to Como. In terms of making sense, I'd say, look, it's unexpected. So I think if it's for pure relax, have a nice time, play top football, play with Fabregas, look, 10 out of 10. Yeah. Enjoy Varane, okay? Because since the age of 18, Varane has been at the highest level of football at Real Madrid. So if he wants to go to Como, enjoy life and football, that's a good move for Varane to do.
It's the serenity of Lake Como, or it is the chaotic excitement, Alex, of Miami. Because obviously there is a whole lot of talk about Varane being a possible addition to Inter Miami as well. At least
Oh
that's what's
my
been
days.
circulating over here.
Oh my days.
But I'm not going to fight the muscle of Como right now because they're back in Serie A. They have a very good backing that is ready to spend. I think they just brought in Belotti for 4 million euros, which is like a nice cut rate for a relatively serviceable Serie A striker that at one time, what was his name? He's a El Gallo, right? Or I don't know the pronoun or whatever you have to put in front of it, but he's the rooster, right?
Yes.
He would do the thing on his head, whatever. But we know at one time
Gallo, yeah.
he used to score a whole bunch of goals for them, and if they can find some good playmakers there, Como might survive this season. But yeah, Varane would be a huge capture for them. But I think Inter Miami is going to have the last laugh on that one. Just going to throw that out there.
Let us know down below your thoughts on Varane. And the one I wanted to mention that he could not, maybe he's going to stay, and a lot of people are saying he's going to leave. Nico Williams, okay? I know Nico Williams is tearing it up with Spain in the Euros. I know he's 21, but he might want to stay another 2 seasons minimal at Atletico de Bilbao, okay? Because he's playing with his brother. He's won Copa del Rey. He can achieve a lot more. And we already see him being in the starting position of Spain, playing for Atletico de Bilbao. So he might want to stay and make history with this Bilbao team. So if he goes,
right,
only Barca, please. Only Barca, please, for Nico Williams, okay? Only Barca to play next to Lamine Yamal on the other end. That's the only transfer I'd like to see Nico Williams leaving Atletico de Bilbao.
Well, it's a odd thing. I mean, I don't know how many people know about Athletic Bilbao, but they have a very, very strict transfer thing, right? I mean, only Basque players. And when I think people were very surprised to hear what Nico Williams was already making at Bilbao, right? It's like 5 million a year or something. Very nice for a very young player. So it's cushy. It's Bilbao's good enough, obviously. They won the Copa del Rey. And like you said, it's like LeBron and Bronny playing together, except just kidding. Not a father and son type of situation here, but you're playing with your brother. And you're not going to get many more years of that. And Nico Williams in a couple years will be 24 or whatever, 23. So I'd re-up for a couple years, take a run at having one of the stronger Bilbao teams in a while and go for that. And I think that that's probably a sound decision, but you're also not guaranteed, right? Peak form 2 years from now or 3 years from now if he decides to then want to move on. So one opportunity might close for him, that Premier League window might close.
We all remember Iker Muniain, that the world wanted him after that Man United game, and Llorente too. The Marcos too, that team was historic what they did. So good point, Breton. The last
one more.
Yes.
Oh, can I throw one at you?
Yes,
all right.
Definitely.
We were sort of talking about Villa with Douglas Luiz moving on, Enzo Barrenechea. 44 million for Ian Maatsen. Aston Villa is showing intent. Unai Emery very clearly had a target, stuck with it. I thought he would have been high at about 25 million euros, but that's before he was the best fullback in a Champions League campaign, while being on loan at Chelsea. So you get the added benefit of the English tax, even though he played for a German club in the Champions League final. But Villa very clearly wanted this man, and Ian Maatsen is young, and they have been needing to refresh that fullback spot, right? You've got Matty Cash, you've got Alex Moreno. I can't even remember the other guy I'm thinking of, but this is going to do that. And Ian Maatsen, I mean, just think about it with that attack. I see Ian Maatsen getting forward. I see him being very good in the Premier League, especially if he's got that chip on his shoulder. Like, yeah, I want to show Chelsea what they're missing. So 8.5 out of 10 for me with Ian Maatsen going to Villa.
I thought he was going to Dortmund for a second, personally, and now seeing to Villa, that was a great move done by Villa, in my point of view. I think he's going to be a stud in the Premier League. Who knows? Who knows what Villa is doing, because the potential now, they're playing Champions League football. So top players, they'll want to join this Villa team. That's an interesting project. Going from selling Jack Grealish to now Champions League football with Unai Emery. Good.
Hey, who knows? They might get Grealish back. Who knows?
Exactly. It's convincible. It's convincible with what they have, honestly. Last one I have is Xerxes. Xerxes, 40 million release clause. He's for sure getting a move, people. Comment down below whoever is getting in your point of view. I think Man United 40 million would be a top move because it'd be Rasmus Winter-Højlund versus Xerxes in terms of competing for that first team slot. Okay, and I think it'd make a lot of sense for the club to do because it's first striker, it's a good price and a high reward. Okay, because if Xerxes works out at Man United, he's worth 100 million minimal. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10 because he's not guaranteed, but he can have a high potential in the future.
He absolutely could. I hope he works out. For a guy, I mean, he's bopped around a whole lot, but he's had an impact almost everywhere he's gone. So we'll see. It feels like a step too far for me, too early again. But I don't know. But when it comes to strikers, man, I don't know if this has gotten over the line yet, but it's very close to. Serhou Guirassy is going to Borussia Dortmund.
Oof.
And that's got to be intent right there. I mean, showing you that, hey, if Bayern is going through a little bit of a restructuring, if Bayer Leverkusen is fighting off as hard as they can, suitors for literally every one of their players, then we got to make a statement of intent. And Guirassy, if he had those games back that he missed for injury, he would have probably been up there with Harry Kane, right? With Harry Kane for Golden Boot. And I don't even know. I think it was 27 goals or 28 goals when all came down to it. But he is a phenomenal talent. They're getting him at the right time. This is, while it's not the snap back to FC Wonder Kid type of situation where they're bringing in Jude Bellingham, right, from Birmingham City, it is at least a very smart, savvy purchase, and one that I think is not going to cost too much. Based off of his contract situation, but I could be wrong about that. He's going to score a lot of goals.
Completely rated Stuttgart. It's their manager that went to Brighton, youngster, Wonder Kid himself in terms of management. Guirassy now, Hito to Bayern. Oh my days, their core is leaving. Oh my, let's see what's going to happen with Stuttgart. But let us know, people. Do you agree with our ratings? Which are the transfers that you want us to mention in future videos? Let us know down below in the comment section and like this video for more content just like this. And yes, Breton, I wanted to ask you this because I still haven't asked you before you landed in Portugal, and because this is a beautiful country and it will change your mind and maybe your answer before you come here. I'm going to ask you this, Breton. Which round do you see Portugal winning Euro 2024, Breton and people at home? Because I think we can win it all. But Breton, what are you thinking here, since you know our pathway?
Yeah, France is going to be tough, man. But I feel if Belgium gets through via France, I think you've got Belgium dead to rights. And I'm going to say semifinals. I'll say semifinals.
Oh, so if it's France, we don't go through with France in the quarterfinals, Breton?
It depends. Like we haven't seen enough of masked Kylian Mbappe yet. I for one think that it will be a negative. I for one think that it's gonna not change him irrevocably, but ultimately playing with a mask is gonna be absolutely tough. I think that's thinking way too much about the logistics of it all. But I do think France is vulnerable. I just need to see. We need to see that. I need to get that taste out of my mouth of that third game, right? And nothing better to do that than obviously having all the right guys starting in all the right places. Because my only limitation with Portugal has always been just based on the fact that I've seen him a lot. I've watched him a lot with Everton. I've watched him a lot on American punditry here in the States. Roberto Martinez, I think, is the limitation you guys have. You have the personnel. You do have the personnel to go all the way. I'll say semifinal. But it was semifinal. But it was the first match he lost. I know.
He was unbeaten for so long, and after the first match,
he didn't lose it to, and this is probably doing the opponent dirty. This is Georgia, right? But he didn't lose to a team that he should have necessarily lost to the first time, which actually might wind up being a blessing for you guys.
Well,
it might be the kick in the pants that not only the guys that were on the pitch got that they need, it might be the guys that watched it on the sideline that obviously were going to be starting the next knockout round game that probably said, okay, there's no sleep in here. There's no, missing a detail. We've got to go into this with fire in our bellies because otherwise we'll get sent home. And we'll get sent home by Slovenia. Okay? So I am excited to see the response that comes from this. And I have a feeling that there will be no issue with you guys getting through with Slovenia. I think you'll put up 3 goals on them.
Ooh, 3-0 or 3-1 with a Šeško goal.
I'd like that because Šeško deserves a goal, but I know you don't want to see him score against you guys.
No
so,
goals suffered.
No
goals suffered, hopefully, with Pep, Ruben Dias, Nuno Mendes, João Cancelo, and Diogo Costa playing at the back. And that's the thing, too. Roberto Martinez, leading up to this game with Georgia, that he played with substitutes, he had a record of 12 wins in 12 games, 41 goals scored, 3 suffered. I do agree that it was not the toughest of opponents, but I have to believe that we can make the difference with him. And we've got the team to win it. We've totally got the team to make the difference in Euro 2024. But one thing's worrisome, and if you're clicking in this video, Portugal, I think, is going to beat Slovenia. And hopefully, like Bretson said, we'll beat them with 3 goals scored minimal. But Slovenia is the team with least ball possession in Euro 2024, and they went through. Why? Because they know what to do off ball. That's scary in my point of view when they have 2 strikers, Sporar, Šeško, when they have Oblak, which is a veteran goalkeeper, when they have Yaka Bijou, a good center back from Udinese too, that can make the difference. I'm worried. This is not an easy match, by no means.
No.
But in which round you expected us to go out, Breton? You say France in the quarterfinals, or if it's Belgium with us, it's the semifinals. Oh my days. Yeah. And in the semifinals, for people to get a perspective, if you don't know, if you're living under a rock, it's Spain or Germany. So that side of the bracket, it's Spain, Germany, Portugal, France, and Belgium. And then you have England by themselves on the other side in terms of the favorites. Okay, people?
All I can say is I run a bracket pool here in the States. Been running it for a long time, and it's all done manually, whatever. Out of, let's see, 30, 40 entries into it, because I always keep my circle small, not one has Portugal winning. And I think that they're wrong about that. Not one. Not one of those brackets has them winning. Now, that's a small sample size here, and it's a bunch of, Americans that are doing this little pool with me. But ultimately, not one. And I was shocked to not see one with them winning. Which tells you you want Portugal to be slept on with this.
Well, not one, but you don't have Portugal winning.
I know I don't have Portugal winning, but
who's your winner?
So saying,
out of curiosity, out of this,
that's a great question.
But Portugal, I believe they're my winner in terms of we have the team to win. Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't scored until now. It was the first time in group stages that Cristiano Ronaldo in a big competition didn't score. So, yes, that can be worrisome. But the way I saw him play in the first 2 games, I think he'll make the difference against Slovenia. Because when he's against the wall, Cristiano Ronaldo tends to answer back. Okay, that's what he does best.
He's got to. He's got to. So I think he generally does deliver when he's got to. So, yeah. But if you're gonna ask me that question, I think the winner of Germany, Spain, when all is said and done, obviously has that done. But the knockout round, like, this is the tournament, right? So like this is it, and the knockout round does weird things to teams that traipse through and
Germany,
walk through
Spain.
walk through the groups, you know what I mean? So it's so interesting because this is where you get tactics mean a whole lot. Coaching means a whole lot when it comes to here, because you're going to have tired legs ultimately as the knockout rounds progress. And I don't know, man. All I can say is like they just that left side of the bracket. It's just bonkers.
And it makes
absolutely
people
bonkers.
not choose Portugal in terms of their winners.
I know.
Oh my days. But against Slovenia, if we line up Diogo Costa, Nuno Mendes, Ruben Dias, Pepe, João Cancelo, in midfield, Palhinha, Bruno Fernandes, Vitinha, and attack, Rafael Leão, Cristiano Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva, I fully believe, confidently believe, we will beat Slovenia and France next. I gotta believe that we're gonna beat the Frenchmen, because the Frenchmen, they look fragile. They look fragile, and then until now,
they do.
and I gotta believe 1-on-1 we have a chance with Spain too. We have a chance against Spain too. Spain's playing better football completely. Cucurella's looking fantastic. Fabian Ruiz is looking fantastic. But we have experienced players that in at any given moment, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ruben Dias, Pep, a veteran that, look, until now, Pep's been one of the best center backs in the competition next to Akanji, Ricardo Calafiori. I have to back my own. So I'm very confident that we can make it through. All right, tell us, you, down below, people, okay, in the comment section, which round do you think Portugal will be going through until? And yes, Breton, thank you for giving your thoughts in this episode 163. And hopefully, Portugal proves me right and proves you wrong. And your friends, because I'm still shocked. I'm shocked.
I was shocked too. I've got like 4 or 5 more that came in, because obviously we're doing this before the Euro games start. So we'll see. I'll let you know if we got someone moving Portugal through. But listen, Portugal was always going to be drawn into this type of a forest of titans, right? Because they were projected to win the group, and it just so happens that the cards did not fall their way when it comes to the draw. But ultimately, you got to beat the best if you want to lift the trophy.
And the story too.
They have.
If Portugal wins when they have to go, if Portugal wins when we have to go through against France in the semifinals, Germany or Spain, and Cristiano Ronaldo makes the difference in the qualifying rounds, look, it's going to be historic, incredible, and I believe it can happen. Let us know, people. Do you agree? Do you share this hope? Let us know.
I will put money on a Chico Conceição big goal at some point.
That's already
probably
happened.
Probably not against Slovenia, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it in the quarterfinals. That's I expect that.
Hopefully,
I expect that to happen.
Hopefully that will happen, or even a Rafael Leão or a João Felix. That until now we've wanted to see much more in that national team, and we believe he's got the potential to make the difference. But let us know, people, your thoughts, and thank you so much for listening until now to this podcast.